Closed captioning for News 12 is brought to you by Kenneth Nugent.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Just one more day until the U.S. Senate runoff. Almost 2 million voters have already decided whether to send Senator Raphael Warnock back to D.C. or replace him with Republican Herschel Walker. The latest numbers from an Atlanta-based polling company shows Warnock is leading Walker with 55%. But experts say it all comes down to how many people show up at the polls tomorrow.
When our I-team crunched the numbers, we found their campaigns raised more than $160 million. So where did they get all of that cash? Our I-team's Meredith Anderson follows the money. Most of that money led me right out of the state of Georgia, which makes sense considering this race has national implications, even though it no longer determines the balance of power in the Senate. After narrow wins in Arizona and Nevada, the Democrats maintain their control, but just barely. Okay, so tomorrow, if Warnock wins, Democrats will have 51 seats. If Walker wins, it will be 50-50, but the vice president, who's a Democrat, breaks the tie, so it is still very close, and both sides are banking on that seat. Even before it went into overtime, the Warnock-Walker Senate showdown was already expensive. Both campaigns and outside groups had already spent a staggering $262 million. Looking at just cash alone, Georgia's incumbent is giving everyone else a run for their money. According to campaign finance data, he's raised more than $175 million. Even before the runoff, Raphael Warnock raised more than $123 million, which is more than anyone else this election cycle. Mark Kelly of Arizona was second, and he wasn't even close. Herschel Walker has moved up to fourth place since the runoff with his more than $58 million. But before the runoff, he came in at number 13. It's important to note the majority of his campaign cash has been local.
Georgia. Georgia.
$7 million raised in Georgia. That is a whopping majority of his money, according to the Federal Election Commission, considering Florida comes in second with just $2 million. As for Raphael Warnock, most of his money is West Coast money. The Federal Election Commission lists Warnock raised more than $13 million in California. That's almost twice as much as he raised in Georgia. The I-team crunched election data and found Warnock's top donor overall was Alphabet Inc., the parent company of Google. In fact, 5 of his top 10 donors had their headquarters in the Golden State, including the University of California, Apple, Stanford University, and Kaiser Permanente. The I-team has also confirmed support from several Hollywood A-listers, including Steven Spielberg, Kerry Washington, Mark Ruffalo, and Jennifer Gardner. While the jury's still out if this kind of support actually helps or hurts Warnock, the same could be said for Herschel Walker's biggest endorsement to date, former President Donald Trump. Just last month, Trump said he has his sights set on Washington, too.
I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Senator Ted Cruz made the trip to Georgia to rally with Walker, and Governor Brian Kemp, fresh off his own re-election victory, has publicly shown his support, too. Walker has also secured 11th hour funding from Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America and its partner, Women Speak Out PAC, with a $1 million donation in support of Walker's pro-life position. Still, that does pale in comparison to this $7 million donation the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee gave Warnock to help fund his fight in the runoff.
I'm Herschel Walker, and I approve this message.
I'm Raphael Warnock, and I approve this message.
I'm Herschel Walker. Save my grace. I approve this message.
I'm Raphael Warnock, and I work for you. That's why I approve this message.
Paying for ads? That's a big part of campaign expenses. Check out this November 12th tweet from an ad tracking firm called Medium Buying. 6 days into the runoff, they reported already nearly $10 million in TV and radio ad spending had been booked. Almost a week later, That number tripled to 31.2 million. And as you've probably noticed, the ads did start out rather friendly.
I'm Raphael Warnock. I'm a dad, a senator, a pastor.
Herschel is one of the most genuine people that I think you'll ever meet.
If the race between me and my opponent were out here, I could understand why you might choose him.
Everyone to know, I am a praying man. I grew up in a praying family.
But as the race heated up and the two became neck and neck, they started to really duke it out over the airwaves.
Herschel Walker threatening to kill his wife was not an isolated incident.
We see him on TV, but what's he really hiding?
I work with the Cobb County Police Department.
But the truth?
The Cobb County Police Department said they had no record of any involvement with Walker.
Reverend Warnock preys on the poor. Warnock's apartments are filled with mold, filth, human feces, even rotting corpses.
Then that fight carried over into campaign events.
And then I heard the other day said to be a senator, you have to know stuff. And I'm like, what did he know? Because he's been a terrible senator, so he don't know too much.
Well, maybe he should be a dietitian since he's everything else, including a cop. I intend to be your United States Senator.
This war of words will finally come to an end, if not tomorrow, then in the coming days. As you head to the polls one last time, you have a choice between Georgia's first black senator and the Republican Party's first black U.S. Senate nominee in Georgia. In a state where football is religion, Walker led the Bulldogs to their national title in 1980, making him a hero. Georgia is also home to civil rights heroes like Martin Luther King Jr. Even when he was elected to the Senate, Warnock continued to preach at Ebenezer Baptist Church, MLK's spiritual home. But success, it wasn't handed to either one of them. Both came from humble beginnings, so they both say they know what it's like to struggle. This is a fight to the finish, and the final outcome depends on you.
Will Rio was assigned to the Walker campaign back in November. I was assigned to cover Senator Warnock. We will both be at our respective candidates' watch parties again tomorrow to see who wins that seat. It could be another long night for this very close race, and we'll both be there to bring you live updates. Okay, looking forward to seeing those votes come in. You really don't know much until the votes are tallied.
Yeah, the whole world's going to be watching that one tomorrow.
That's right.
A lot of attention on Georgia. As we shift gears over to
Just about 10 minutes.
Riley, thank you. We're learning former Johnston Mayor Terrence Culbreth has died. The police chief confirming first responders were called to his home around 9:30 last night. Officials say there does not appear to be foul play, but they're waiting for an autopsy to decide the exact cause of death. Culbreth was only 39 years old.
The Richmond County Sheriff is asking for your help finding this missing 18-year-old. Javon Bradley was last seen November 30th getting on a Southeastern Stages bus headed to Atlanta. He got there at 2:45 in the morning, but appears to have missed his Greyhound bus. Javon was last seen wearing a jean jacket, jean shorts, and black Nike sneakers. People in Aiken are remembering the life of a renowned polo player and horse trainer who died in a car accident over the weekend.
39-year-old Del Walton from Blackville died in a single-car crash early Saturday morning just outside the town of Sally. Alyssa Lyons spoke with a longtime friend who wants to learn more about the legacy Walton leaves behind.
Well, it's not every day your timeline is flooded with one name. And again, that rang true today as they lost one of their own over the weekend. Thousands of comments, pictures, and posts all mourning the loss of area polo player Delmar Walton.
I never knew if the phone call was to give me a hard time or it was to play a joke.
Delmar Walton, or just plain Del, was a name sung high and low in Aiken.
Him, his wife, and his kids were part of the fabric of the Aiken Polo Club and the polo community.
An avid horseman since he was young, Del easily jumped into the saddle and into polo stardom. Walton hit the pitch for the Aiken Polo Club, Newbridge Polo Club, and attended tournaments across the U.S. In 2005, Walton was a member of the winning U.S. Open team.
Just knowing him for so many years, he was always participating in the best polo on the best horses with some of the best players and at the best clubs as well.
And when he wasn't holding a mallet, Walton had his hands full.
His reach not only was all over the United States as far as playing as a professional, but also horse farm and raising and training of the polo ponies that him and his wife managed and ran. His horses were also scattered all across the United States, just as well as him playing.
But most of all, he was a father, a husband, and a friend.
So it's a very special and unique thing he was able to accomplish.
Moving forward, the Aiken Polo Club wants to do something to honor the legacy of Walton. What that might be, time will only tell. Until then, donations can be made to the Polo Players Support Group. We'll have that link on our website.
Alyssa, thanks. He did make quite an impact here locally and across the country. So to come here, an Aiken County family grieving after losing their 4-year-old in a tragic accident over the weekend.
Well, it is a very wet start to the work week, and this is going to continue tonight into tomorrow morning, but we are warming up this week. Have a look at the full forecast just after the break.
And the Children's Hospital of Georgia is holding their annual Cares for Kids Radiothon. How you can get involved and help save lives coming up on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
This week, you'll have the chance to support kids in our area and beyond. We've been supporting this special place for years now, and this year, the Children's Hospital of Georgia needs your help even more.
Zana Halliburton tells us how you can help make a difference in a child's life during the 22nd annual iHeartMedia Cares for Kids Radiothon.
Thursday and Friday, our station will be broadcasting live from the Children's Hospital of Georgia for this year's iHeartMedia Cares for Kids Radiothon. A team will be lined up by a phone ready to take your call.
We get to share stories from the hospital, so we get to hear from patients and their families about how the Children's Hospital of Georgia has impacted them. But then we also utilize the time to let our community know what our hospital's needs are as we go out in our community for support.
With every donation staying local, you're helping families like these. Kids like 4-year-old Philip, who was born 8 weeks early with several serious congenital heart defects that required surgery.
Philip wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this hospital and the amazing people who work here. So we're so lucky.
The Children's Hospital is serving all 159 counties in Georgia, South Carolina, and beyond. The hospital was there for Jennifer Reed, a mom whose baby had to be airlifted from Athens to the Children's Hospital immediately. Lindy was a micropreemie and needed a higher level of care. Her journey at CHOG began at 20 days old.
Had our only option been an ambulance, I don't know that she would have survived the trip. So we had to have that helicopter. We had to have that transport team. Without that, our story would have been really different.
Catherine says fundraisers like this are needed to help the hospital continue serving families.
Every penny stays at the Children's Hospital of Georgia in Augusta, and it is not going to pay for salaries or office supplies. It is going for scales and blanket warmers and fun things for kids to do while they're there.
She says for anyone on the fence about giving, you never know when you will need this hospital.
Whether it's for you, a grandchild, a neighbor, a friend, a coworker, every parent I've ever met, they never thought it would be them. You know what? And here they are. So if you're sitting on the fence, do it for them.
Reporting in Augusta, Zana Halliburton on your side.
We're so fortunate to have that hospital here. We say it all the time. And during the third day of the radiothon, that's when you'll be able to call a number and someone will be available to take your donation over the phone.
We also like to say that every dollar you give stays right here in Augusta, so there's no overhead. All of your donation goes to that one very special place. Maybe you'd rather do this while you're thinking about this, it's on your mind right now, and you can visit caresforkidsradiothon.com. You're going to find all this information on our website. If you head that way, just search the word Radiothon, and thanks in advance for your help.
Well, that's Sunday.
Up next, a family is mourning after a young child is hit and killed in Aiken County over the weekend. What we know about that crash after the break.
The live
Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
Today, a family is mourning after a 4-year-old was hit and killed by a car. Happened yesterday around 11:30 in the morning near Academy Street and Columbia Highway North in Minetta. Taylor Martin has been in Minetta for us today, trying to learn a little bit more about Xavier Stewart.
She's live in our newsroom for us right now. And Taylor, I understand you actually heard from the family today.
I spoke with the family briefly today, and they say this tragedy has really broken them, and they're going to miss him dearly. While in Minetta earlier, I got a chance to see the memorial the community has created for him. This is the last picture of Xavier Stewart, taken just minutes before he lost his life on Columbia Highway. His family says he was a great kid and had just started school at Minetta Early Learning Center and was doing well in his classes. He was excited for the holidays and even told his family he wanted it to snow for Christmas this year. Xavion was within walking distance of his school and his home when the incident happened on Sunday just before noon. This is where a Chevrolet SUV struck him as he tried to cross the street while walking with his siblings. The community has already started gathering toys and flowers to lay near the intersection in his honor. The memorial sits in the grass right off the highway and only a few feet away from the playground where he played while in school. I spoke with his grandmother, and she tells me that Xavion was her first grandchild. She had just taken him and his siblings to Chuck E. Cheese a few weeks ago and was hoping to take him back. Now, she won't get the chance to. At this time, we don't know if there will be charges, but the South Carolina Highway Patrol is actively investigating.
Just a heartbreaking story, and our thoughts and prayers are with that family. The sons of Confederate veterans are suing the city of Augusta over plans to rename the Jefferson Davis Memorial Bridge, commonly known as the Fifth Street Bridge. Augusta commissioners voted to change the name to Freedom Bridge last month.
This comes as other communities are changing Confederate names as well, and the lawsuit goes beyond just the bridge in Augusta. It challenges plans recommended by the mayor's task force on Confederate monuments.
So the SCV has decided, coming on the heels of we've just won 3 cases before the Georgia Supreme Court, dealing with Newton County, Rockdale County, and Henry County. So we decided this would be the first case we have filed since winning those 3 cases.
I came on the commission to do my job, but I don't like the controversy that this is all causing, and it needs to go to the state.
Since this is pending litigation, the city says it cannot officially comment on the lawsuit.
Looking ahead to the weekend, we do see our temperatures stay in the 60s and possibly a few showers Sunday. Another quick look at the forecast just after break.
From the team that's always on your side, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Injured at work?